All right, so let's move from that location to Capitol Hill. House Speaker Mike Johnson pulling out a big win for his party and the Trump administration on that stopgap funding bill to avert a government shutdown. Approaching a Friday shutdown, Johnson secured enough votes, at least in the House, to narrowly pass the measure in a 217 to 213 vote. That's not a lot of comfortable feelings in that margin, right? Now let's look here, a yearbook of sorts. These are two members who stepped out of ranks with votes that weren't expected. Republican Congressman Thomas Mathey from Kentucky, a no vote along those Republican lines, and then Congressman Jared Golden from Maine. He's the lone Democrat who said yes. Now, keep in mind, this is not a done deal yet. The legislation now goes to the Senate, and while it heads over there, the clock is running. If the Senate can't get on board, the government shuts down Friday. So CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small watching the numbers side over on the Senate. Taurean, what's the math there?
Yeah, it's not looking great for Republicans, certainly. Normally, the balance of power is 53 to 47, meaning in order to avoid a filibuster, Republicans would have to recruit 7 other members to come to their side from Democrats to Republican in order for them to get through this measure. Considering now, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky said that he's going to be following the lead of his colleague from Kentucky, Thomas Massey, and vote no to this measure. That's now eight Democrats that would have to support this bill. We're watching to see who could potentially cross party lines in support of this. We looked at Senator Hickenlooper of Colorado, Angus King of Maine, and Gallego of Arizona. Those 3 are still on the fence. They have a bit of trepidation about outright supporting this, but their concerns for a government shutdown is weighing deeply on their decision making right now. All 3 of the men said that they are undecided, but they will be coming to a decision shortly once this bill hits the floor. Ultimately, though, it's Republicans looking to place the blame on Democrats, despite the fact that they hold the majority in both chambers. And Democrats are saying, listen, we have an alternative here on the table, a clean continuing resolution that would keep the government open until April instead of September, like this Republican version of the bill says.
All right, and so we also, when we have you on the screen, love to ask you about this, because lawmakers are also sounding off on the major development on the Department of Education. Listen to this, and then let's talk about it.
Do I think we should do some things with the Department of Education? Yeah. My preference would be to eliminate it and put everything back in. I support the president in trying to limit the amount of regulatory oversight that the federal government has been imposing on the state and local schools.
But it sounds like you think Congress should take the lead, and that this is a little haphazard the way they're doing it now.
Look, my preference would have been eliminate it, but do it so that all of those important departments or those important offices that Congress has already authorized would be maintained appropriately.
What's your reaction to what's happening at the Education Department?
Oh, I think it's a tragedy. I mean, I got a 7-year-old and 9-year-old, got a 2nd grader and a 4th grader. You know, I'm a parent of young kids, and just this effort to gut so much of what is necessary for us to be able to afford. I was a Pell Grant kid when I was in college. So much challenges that people are facing right now. I think this is absolutely the wrong move.
So Mr. Rounds, a Republican, Mr. Kim, a Democrat. It sounds like the Republican is very much on board with the Trump talking points and agenda. This is really gearing up, we're seeing here, and what we're hearing in the halls of Congress to be a major fight. Meanwhile, the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, needs the help of Congress if they are going to shutter the department completely and do what she was told to do by the President of the United States, which is to work herself out of a job. So let's play this out. What would this look like?
Yeah, so Republicans are largely in line with this. In fact, they've been encouraging the White House to utilize congressional procedure in order to codify some of these drastic changes we're seeing across the board. Reed, I should mention that there are 2 R's that are particularly relevant to this. That's rescission and reconciliation. Under rescission, what could happen sooner than later, Congress is allowed, at the request of the White House, to review appropriation that's already been allocated to specific departments and decide to make cuts to that. So that would codify some of these DOGE cuts that's been going forward. Speaker Johnson wants to utilize reconciliation to codify that into fiscal year 2026 budget. So the big budget reconciliation process we've been through that passed the House, the bill that ultimately would require a filibuster proof, or navigation around the filibuster, just a simple majority in the Senate to pass through a massive spending bill that would codify the decrease in spending to those departments. Those two avenues is what Republicans are seeking in order to legitimize some of these things as Democrats, as other advocacy groups look to litigation to push back on these cuts and changes. So the long and short of it is there are avenues for the White House to move forward with these drastic changes, including the dismantling of the Department of Education, but it's a matter of how that process goes forward and ultimately what happens as it comes to the Hill for Congress to actually make that happen.
Our CBS team knowing those processes and able to report them so succinctly. Taurean Small, thank you for being a part of our force up there.